For over 2 centuries, the Oak Island mystery has been a labyrinth of speculation, a puzzle that has spawned theories spanning continents and centuries. It has captured the imagination of treasure hunters, historians, and dreamers alike, each proposing their own solution to the island's enduring enigma. We've heard tales of Knights Templar, their holy relics spirited away from a collapsing empire. We've chased the ghosts of pirates like Captain Kidd, searching for the X that marks their buried plunder. Artifacts have whispered of secret orders, of hidden faiths, each clue a tantalizing breadcrumb. Symbols, riddles, ciphers. Each discovery has only deepened the mystery, leading everywhere and nowhere. But while the world looked for complex conspiracies, one theory, elegant in its simplicity, has persisted. It's a theory rooted not in secret societies, but in the raw, unforgiving reality of the North Atlantic. The oldest legends don't speak of a vault, but of a vessel. A large, heavily laden ship, caught in a storm or seeking refuge, that met its end in the protected waters of Mahone Bay. This is the Swamp Galleon theory. For generations, the search has focused on the Money Pit, a man-made labyrinth of shafts and booby traps designed to confound and defeat. Millions have been spent, lives have been lost, all in the pursuit of something buried 100 feet down. But what if the ultimate prize isn't buried in a complex pit? What if the answer is lying just a few feet beneath the notorious dark waters of the Oak Island swamp? This season, we pose the definitive question. Is a massive ship, a time capsule from a forgotten era, perfectly preserved right under our feet? Season after season, the swamp was the ominous constant, an obstacle, a barrier to the island's secrets. We saw it as impenetrable, but its dense anaerobic peat is also protective. It's a natural vault of mud and silt with its own agenda to preserve. We've come to realize the swamp may not be the obstacle, but the hiding place itself, the perfect tomb for a wooden ship, shielding it from the ravages of time and decay. For the first time, we have the technology to prove it. New, deep-penetrating sonar can finally pierce the veil, to see through the mud and water that have guarded this secret for so long. The hunt for the Oak Island treasure is over. The scientific investigation has begun. Season 13 starts where the oldest theory points, and where the island itself has always seemed most alive. Season 13 begins with a bold new strategy, centered on a question that has haunted the team for years. Could a massive ship be perfectly preserved beneath the Oak Island swamp? To answer it, they are deploying a new generation of deep-penetrating sonar, a technology specifically designed for this unique and challenging environment. Previous surveys were baffled by the swamp's dense layers of peat and sediment, which absorbed and scattered acoustic energy. But this system is different. It operates on a lower frequency, sacrificing some resolution for incredible penetration. This device is engineered to cut through the mud and peat like never before. It sends powerful, focused energy deep into the mire, a place that has held its secrets for centuries, and brings back clarity from the darkness. The data flows instantly, processed by powerful algorithms that filter out the noise and build a three-dimensional picture of the subsurface. And what returns is staggering. Beneath the western edge of the swamp, a colossal shape begins to emerge from the digital fog. This is not a natural formation. It's not a random scattering of debris from past searcher activity. The returns show a coherent structure of monumental size. The dimensions are breathtaking, running over 150 feet in length, with an estimated beam of nearly 30 feet. There is clear evidence of regular spacing, organized symmetry, and high-density, metal-intensive returns are aligned like the teeth of a giant comb. It is a ship's signature, without a doubt. With the target located, the team grids the site on the surface. Each stake they drive into the soft ground marks the spine of a giant sleeping below. The data reveals even more. The bow sits higher in the sediment, while the stern rests deeper, as if the vessel settled backwards as it was entombed by centuries of silt and peat. This anaerobic mud, a perfect natural preservative, has likely sealed a wooden leviathan beneath their feet, potentially protecting not just its structure, but its contents. The data is compelling, but it's not proof. The discovery demands a simple, decisive test to confirm what the sonar is telling them. They must go straight to the heart of the anomaly, breach the layers of time, and pull the physical truth out of the ground. A strategic core sample is taken directly over the anomaly. The drill fights through peat, then bites into something dense. Timber, old, saturated, and not alone. We bring the past to daylight. The team opens the core. First, oak, blackened, waterlogged, massive, shaped, worked, centuries asleep. Then, iron, hand-forged, square-head, ship hardware. Gary is brought in to inspect the find. The signal is undeniable. The timber is dated as centuries old. The metallurgy and form, early 18th century. Not treasure, but irrefutable proof of a large ship, directly over the keel line, exactly where a spike and a rib should be. With tantalizing data from the sonar scans and physical fragments recovered from the boreholes, the team needs definitive answers. To decipher the clues locked within the wood and iron, a maritime historian is brought in to examine the evidence firsthand. The weight of centuries of mystery rests on this analysis. Is this just debris, or the key to unlocking the entire Oak Island legend?
When you hold a piece of history like this, it speaks to you. The construction methods, the sheer size of this vessel implied by the timbers, and the specific metallurgy of the iron. It all paints a very specific picture. Everything I'm seeing is consistent with a very large ocean-going vessel from the late 17th or early 18th century. We are firmly in the golden age of piracy. Look closely at this fastening. Note the square shank and the hand-hammered head. This predates the industrial production of round nails. This was forged by a blacksmith, one by one. The scale alone is staggering. This wasn't for a coastal skiff or a fishing boat. This was designed to hold the massive structural timbers of a giant against the full force of the Atlantic. Furthermore, our analysis of the metal itself reveals a high carbon content and specific slag inclusions characteristic of early 1700s charcoal-fired bloomery forges. This isn't just old iron. It's a timestamp. And then there's the wood. This is European white oak, the gold standard for naval construction of the era, prized for its strength and resistance to rot. The tool marks suggest it was shaped with an adze, not a saw. The curvature and thickness tell us this was likely part of a massive frame, or even the keel structure. When you combine this timber with a fastening of this size, you rule out smaller vessels. A British merchantman? Possible, but the design cues lean elsewhere. A French float? They were typically more lightly constructed. This feels heavier, more robust. This feels like a Spanish galleon.
A Spanish galleon, a warship, or a treasure-laden merchant vessel, far from its typical trade routes in the Caribbean. So how did a ship of this magnitude and origin end up here, intentionally buried in a Nova Scotian bog?
The location is the most baffling and intriguing part. A ship this large doesn't accidentally wash into a swamp. It had to be brought in deliberately, likely through a channel that has long since disappeared. The anaerobic mud, which lacks oxygen, then acted as a perfect preservation chamber, arresting the decay of the hull. They trapped it, and the swamp buried it for them, hiding it from the world.
The coast of Nova Scotia in the early 1700s was a frontier of shifting allegiances. A world of powerful trade winds, opportunistic privateers, and countless secret coves perfect for hiding a ship or its valuable cargo. It was a coastline defined by both immense opportunity and catastrophic risk. With this new context, every coin, every button, every scrap of leather found scattered around the swamp over the years suddenly snaps into focus. They are no longer random curiosities. They are the lost possessions of the crew, the scattered remnants falling from the deck of this colossal wreck as it was maneuvered into its final resting place. The sonar anomaly isn't just a shape, it's the source. The Galleon is the true source. This single revelation changes everything. The centuries-old mystery is no longer about finding a theoretical booby-trapped vault built by unknown engineers, but about the daunting archaeological challenge of salvaging a massive, potentially intact piece of Spanish naval history.
If the sonar data is accurate, and this hull is largely intact as the preservation suggests, this could be the single most important shipwreck ever discovered in North American waters.
The quest has transformed, from myth to a map, from theory to tangible timber and iron. This is history you can hold in your hands, a history that, after 300 years of silence, is now perhaps ready to be opened. The Spanish connection, no longer a theory but a fact, validated by the science. The real work has just begun. The search for the money pit treasure is now secondary. The new quest is to breach the hull of this massive galleon, sealed away from the world for 300 years. Every precaution, every control, a surgical approach along the keel where preservation is strongest. What secrets lie preserved in that dark, anoxic mud? The wealth of an entire Spanish convoy, or something far more valuable? Knowledge, history, proof. The operation begins. Target locked, entry planned, no turning back. Whatever emerges will be documented to the grain. Oak Island is no longer just a hunt, it is a recovery. Season 13 is no longer a treasure hunt, it is a full-scale marine salvage operation. The Spanish galleon, hidden beneath the swamp, is ready to surrender its secrets. The biggest maritime archaeological event in modern history starts now, and it begins beneath our boots. Please subscribe to our channel, History Documentary Hub, for more insightful videos and intriguing content.